What's up, everyone? Welcome to Real Wealth, your investing channel to help you make more money, help you keep more money, and then use that money to enjoy more life. Mikey, what's up? What are you saying, man?
Happy weekend, brother. We're doing good over here. We're going to jump right back in and get everyone updated on what's going on with crypto stocks.
Nice, man. So what are we going to talk about today? What are some topics? We got some good stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a bunch of stuff going on right now. I mean, there's actually probably too much to talk about today, but we're going to go over the GameStop stock,
Yeah.
that stupid stock that went up for no reason a few years ago, is going up again. Meme coins, again, stupid cryptos are going up, stupid stocks are going up. I think that the market's been overpriced and people are looking for ways to make money, but
Yeah.
interest rates, those are changing in Europe and Canada. I want to go over the Plan B stock to flow model. That's a good one. We're
Yeah.
going to go over Nvidia, jobs reports, altcoins, near coin for AI, and we're going to go over what we think's coming after the halving now, like we've been talking about.
Yeah. Always lots to get to on these weekly recaps, huh? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I know. We'll get it in. We'll
Yeah,
get it
yeah.
in.
All right. Well, we'll get started. I'll share my screen. We'll go over kind of the market overview, what's going on in the markets, and then get into stuff. Cool, man. You see my screen?
Yeah, we got it.
Nice. Okay. So starting with cryptos, market cap 2.6 trillion billion. Yeah.
Trillion.
Yeah. So we have Bitcoin the last week actually up. So just massive, like just ups and downs throughout the week. So Bitcoin up on the week, Ethereum down on the week, Solana down on the week. BNB is a sleeper one that like you and I have actually never even chatted about, but this is one that's been doing really, really well. Um, then here is in the last week here. Let's just hop into the stocks. So here's what's going on in the stocks. Nvidia, massive upswing there. We're going to chat some more about that today. What are you seeing with Nvidia? Why the
I
big move?
mean, it's hard to turn on your TV and not hear about Nvidia. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
they're a huge chip maker. AI is the buzzword. Like during the pandemic, the big buzzword was EV, electric vehicles, right?
yeah,
Now that's been completely replaced with AI. So
yeah.
Nvidia is the number one AI chip maker in the world, and people can't stop talking about them.
Yeah, yeah. And AI, like you can play the stock, but there's also AI plays in crypto. It's wild. And it's so crazy. Like in hindsight, you look back, you're like, of course this seemed like a no-brainer, right? And I remember like 9 months ago, I think I was talking to you. I'm like, dude, like Nvidia. And I'm like, but it's already ran this much. Like, how do you just buy something when it's already up like, 30% in a week or something? And I'm buying like little small amounts. And I'm like, obviously it would have been cool to buy more, but yeah, plus 10%. So yeah, you're going to talk a little, actually, we're going to talk a little bit more about, um, I mean, they're doing a stock split and yeah, so we'll get into a little bit more there. Let me just have a peek at some of the other green on here. Apple up a little bit, Microsoft up a bit, Amazon up a little bit. So that's stocks. Let me just show you guys, let me just pop back into the Bitcoin inflows here. So this is one of the things that we've been tracking a lot over the last, I don't know, couple months. So follow the money. So that when the Bitcoin ETFs first launched, there was massive, massive inflows to, I don't know, 10 or 11 of these new Bitcoin ETFs. So on the bottom here, these bars here are the massive outflows of Grayscale. So when it all equals out, these were all massive, massive inflow days. Like, look at this. This is $1 billion inflow day right there. Then things cooled off a little bit, and this correlated with a lower Bitcoin price. And these were actually massive outflow days. Each bar here is a day. Now, if you'll notice here over the last about a month, it's just been consistent inflow days. It's starting to get a little bit more, a little bit more. So each bar is one day, and it includes all of the Bitcoin ETFs. So this day right here, June 5th, so just a couple days ago, it was probably like top 5 or 6 days for Bitcoin inflows. And that's almost $1 billion total, $895 million,
Wow.
right? So, it's starting to get momentum again. I love looking at this thing, but it just basically shows you demand. And this is just getting started. And when there's more demand and less supply because of the Bitcoin halving, it just kind of has to go up. Like as long as the money keeps coming in, right? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if people really believe in cryptos and the wealthiest people in the world now believe in cryptos, it's kind of like believing in AI and Nvidia. Look at the Nvidia stock. It just keeps going up and
Yeah.
it doesn't drop. So, sometimes you have a fighter or a sports athlete that you think they can't lose and they go on a hot streak for a long, long, long time. That happens with stocks and cryptos all the time, and we're in the middle of that
Hmm.
right now.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Now, we said earlier, you just ups and downs over the last week. And even before the call, I'm hopping on here. I'm like, okay, so there's this report that came out on Friday. It was to do with jobs, and initially, I read the headline. I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. I remember taking a screenshot and sending it to you. And I'm like, here we go. And then I'm looking at my Coinbase stock because I also own options. I'm like, WTF? Like what? It's like complete crash and like a whole bunch of other things down as well. And then I click on the news article. I'm like, when you start reading down a bit, I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. There's why the market doesn't like this. So let's have a little chat. I know you can share a little bit more. What came out on Friday that the market didn't like?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny when you're interpreting earnings reports or news stories. You see this big, beautiful headline, we're all going to
Yes.
make money, the stock's amazing. And
Yeah.
then you look at your chart and it drops.
Yeah.
And what'll happen a lot of the time is that when they do their earnings reports, they have an earnings call where they then speak for an hour or
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
and the CEO might say something stupid or negative in the future, and then no one cares about the good news anymore.
Yeah.
And you were pointing out, let me just share the screen here, Mike, because I'm not sure if
Yeah. And it's the
everyone.
tone that they use and their choice of wording. And then that gets interpreted. And then that's what pushes things.
Yes, exactly. So, when I'm looking at this here, let's go to the news story. There we go. So, the jobs report, U.S. economy added 272,000 jobs in May. It was like an amazing amount of jobs they added, right?
Yeah. And that's what
And
I'm
then right
reading.
at
I'm
the
like,
end,
that's good. Yeah.
yeah.
Like it says
And
booming.
most of the articles just had this blue part I highlighted. They didn't even mention the unemployment. So you're
Yeah.
sitting there saying, wow, we added so many jobs. We're doing great. And then you go into the article and you see that unemployment rose to 4%. So
Yeah.
it doesn't even make sense, kind of like
I
you're
know.
looking at this, like
Counterintuitive.
you've added a crazy amount of jobs, but your unemployment's up. Doesn't even make sense, right? So
Yeah.
you have to be aware of that sometimes. And it's kind of like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer orders this yogurt, and the guy says, "Do you want sprinkles on it?" And he
Yeah.
goes, "Yes, I want sprinkles." And then the guy goes, "Yeah, but the sprinkles are haunted." And like it's like you want the sprinkles, but they're
Yeah.
haunted. Like it's this weird thing, right? You want
Yeah.
jobs, but then the unemployment went up somehow. It's this weird thing,
Yeah.
and you should never overreact to a good headline.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So, and kind of the lesson learned there is to kind of dig a little deeper and go a little past just the headlines because, you might feel euphoric and then you're like, oh, whoa, I missed something. Or sometimes the market prices things in before and it runs up into it and you're like, oh yeah, I nailed this one. And then the news comes out and you're like, what the heck's going on here? Right. So, it's always important to know when these reports come out, and some are more important than others. So I know in future videos, like we should really do a little bit of a deeper dive on some of the important ones because I'm still learning these things and interpreting, what are in these things are super crucial for sure.
I think another thing to mention too, like, I mean, sometimes imagine watching the Chicago Bulls in the 90s with Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan tweaks his ankle. He has like a mild sprain one day.
Yeah.
Well, it's a negative story, but you're still bullish on Michael Jordan long term, and they probably still won the championship that year. So with cryptos or with any stock, you could have a stumbling block in the road like Apple right now. But don't you believe Apple will still be good long term? And same applies to cryptos and the job report that came out ruined the little crypto stuff that was happening. If you still believe in the overall game plan for cryptos, it doesn't really matter what the jobs report said.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. On that topic, that's a good segue into this. Um, Apple actually just went down a notch on overall market cap for companies. It's crazy to see this ascent of Nvidia, and it would be really cool to kind of just have a peek at a chart and just see how much this has actually gone up in a year. This is now a $3 trillion company, and probably in a couple weeks, like this thing is going to eclipse Microsoft for the most valuable company in the world. And Microsoft, like what's been pushing Microsoft over the last 6 months is the AI push as well. So if you're kind of following this along, like two of the most valuable companies are obviously Nvidia is heavily focused on AI, and Microsoft owns some sort of portion of open AI that's not as open anymore. But a lot of the revenue that's coming in from Microsoft right now is coming from some of the AI stuff and a lot of the valuation. So it's isn't that so crazy how much? And like you and I, like we've been tracking Nvidia earnings over the last year, and they just completely blow everything away. And over time, this will start to not be as like crazy hundreds and hundreds of percent over expectations because there's going to be more and more companies to compete with. But isn't that wild?
I mean, it's hard when something reaches an all-time high. You say to yourself, how can it just keep going up? It's already at an all-time high. I like to use an analogy, like I like sports analogies. So,
Yeah,
if you have a star athlete come in, like right now, Connor McDavid is doing great in hockey. He's the best hockey player in the
you
world.
like that, huh?
I love that, right? I have his rookie card, but it's like, what you want to do is every sports team will have different seasons of life. So the
Yeah,
Oilers used to have Wayne Gretzky, and when he came into power there in the 80s, they were the best team throughout almost all of the 80s for a while, right? And then they had to wait for a new catalyst, and now they got it with Connor McDavid. Now
yeah,
they're in the Stanley Cup Finals. They might win the Stanley Cup again, and
yeah,
they might dominate for the next 5 years. That's kind of how it works with stocks, right? Like Apple invents a computer, Apple invents a smartphone, then they have
yeah.
like you have to wait for the next catalyst. And when that next catalyst comes, the good news can last for a while.
Right. Yeah. And especially with AI, like if you believe that this is a thing, and are we just getting started with this thing? Yeah, probably. So what does that look like for the companies that create the hardware for this to thrive? So like there's massive demand for Nvidia chips. I'm sure there's like a crazy waiting list and they can't even keep up with demand. But eventually the other companies, like I know like Meta and Google and Microsoft, like they're kind of working on their own hardware, and Tesla, right? So they don't have to be so dependent on Nvidia. So another thing that severely impacts the market and prices and valuations and the economy is interest rates. So I was expecting interest rates to already come down a little bit so far. Like we were hinted that there'd be multiple rate cuts over this year. I think it was hinted at like four. So in the US, we haven't seen any yet, but some other countries, including the one we live in, Canada, actually just lowered interest rates, and maybe Europe and some other countries as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. When are they going to lower rates? When are they going to
Yeah,
lower rates? Um, you know, I'm not going to say they should have lowered the rates sooner. It's just that when you're used to being in a bull market and making profits and having confidence, you want that feeling back.
Yeah.
Um, they're probably doing the right thing by waiting, to be honest. And the US is still waiting too, but other countries are not. And that's important to pay attention to. So, as Mike mentioned, Canada, Bank of Canada cut the interest rates by a quarter point to 4.75%.
It's a
And,
start.
it's a start. And then I think the next day or very shortly after, the European Central Bank cut their rates by a quarter point. And these are places that are struggling, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're in Canada right now, just like go talk to your buddies and be like, how do you like the financial position of Canada right now? They're gonna complain about groceries and gas prices and taxes and all this stuff. It's not a good time to be an average citizen right now.
Yeah.
And if they don't cut rates in a meaningful way in the next little while, you're going to have some pissed off citizens because
Yeah.
it's been a couple of years now. How long, we put someone in solitary confinement, you got to take them out. You can't just leave them in there. Like they're going to go crazy, right? So I think right now countries around the world have started the lowering process because their unemployment is higher than the US. They're not the world reserve currency. They're not a dominant country like the US.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're starting sooner. But the US will follow in their own timing.
Yeah.
And I really think all of this will lead to the next bull rally.
Right. Yeah. And the reports that get issued, like the jobs report, like the CPI report, that's the consumer price index, like the government uses these metrics to help determine whether they're going to lower or raise interest rates. There's like inflation reports and all these things. And depending what those numbers come in at, that's how they respond to what they're about to do. So there's this magic number that they're trying to reach at inflation. I think is it 3%? I think is the magic.
They're trying to go towards 2%, to
Two.
be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah.
Okay. So how much pain can the average citizen endure with these high interest rates? And what do you think? And probably maybe 1 to 2-ish rate cuts in the US maybe this year, or 2 to 3.
Yeah, like it's kind of one of those things. So when they started raising the rates, you just knew that once they started raising the rates, you just knew they were going to keep raising them. They told us they were going to
Yeah.
raise them 5 or 8 times. There's a guy named Ron Butler. He's a mortgage specialist in Canada. Made some videos for the Real Wealth TikTok channel with him in them. And he pointed this out, and he's got a very diverse background on economics and real estate. He said once they start cutting, it's not going to stop. Like Canada just cut a quarter point. They're
Yeah.
going to do a half a point cut probably
Right.
this summer. And maybe they'll pause for a bit after that, but then maybe in 6 months they'll do another quarter point.
Yeah.
And in the same way that once they started rising rates to beat inflation, they kept raising them. Well,
Yeah.
now that inflation is beaten, once they start lowering them, they'll keep lowering them.
Yeah.
And I really think that in the next 18 months, I think you're going to be shocked how much lower the interest rates go.
Yeah.
And some people say that's stupid. Inflation's going to go back up. Maybe you're right. Okay. However, if you don't lower the rates a lot, the economy won't be that exciting.
Right.
And people who aren't wealthy, they can't borrow and their house won't go up much. So if you're thinking long term, what's going to make us have a robust economy in the next 5 or 10 years? I guarantee you the answer is not leaving interest rates high.
Right. And it's an election year. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And who knows, maybe there's a change of leadership and the other party might think differently about things and might be a little bit more aggressive on the other side of things. Who knows?
Like it's kind of like I don't know. We've been landlords for a long time. Like the landlord wants the tenant not to really turn the air conditioning up that much. Well, you could put a little governor switch on there and keep the AC really, really, really warm if you want. But your
Yeah.
tenants are going to get pissed off if you do that for like 2 years straight. Eventually, you got to put the AC on again. They want the air conditioning. The economy wants the air conditioning. The economy wants lower interest rates. And
Yeah.
eventually, if you want to have a successful economy, you're going to need to have somewhat lower rates. You can't keep them high.
Yeah. So on the topic of a successful economy, meme coins. GameStop. That's for a
Oh,
transition.
yeah, that's so
What's
stupid.
going
Like
on in the
these
meme
meme
coin
coins, like
casino and GameStop?
they,
So there's a movie called Dumb Money. I don't know if it's on Netflix or somewhere else, but it's actually a really cool story about a stock called GameStop and how it was heavily shorted, and then the general public, I guess they call them the normies, wanted to stick it to the man, and they bought this thing up and kept buying it up and buying it up, and then the big corporations, the big hedge funds that are short, eventually got margin called, and some of them ended up going out of business. So this was years ago. So there's a guy called, let me just share my screen real quick. He goes by the handle of Roaring Kitty. So this guy went quiet for a bunch of years. And about a month ago, he posted an image on Twitter. The first time, he's done anything on there, and it ended up shooting GameStop up again. So here we are on repeat again. And then just a couple days ago, he did a live stream, and it actually didn't go too well. Mostly because GameStop took advantage of the new money coming in, and then they ended up issuing more stock, which affects the stock price. So yeah, so it's interesting. Like it's not the easiest to play these things because they move so fast, and you and I have been talking about meme coins a lot more lately, and like, I mean, you can ignore them, but they're here, and they're not going away. Most of them will probably, 99.9% of them will probably go down heavily. Some will actually continue to do well, like a Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. Like, these things are still around, right? So, and these have been around for cycles and cycles, and these are actually billion-dollar companies. They're actually more valuable than like some big name companies out there. So, what are you seeing in the news around GameStop? And we'll get into some charts on some of the memes as well. You and I have been chatting about
yeah,
this a little bit more.
like I don't know, it's kind of like one of those things. Like at one point, I forget how old I was, people were selling pet rocks. People were buying pet rocks,
Yeah,
and then they were buying Beanie Babies, and then they were buying this. And when I was a kid, I used to buy Pogs, these little things
yeah.
you play with, and like then they go away because they're not long lasting, right?
Hmm.
But if you play basketball as a kid, you probably still play basketball today. That's a long lasting
Yeah.
thing. But I don't play Pogs anymore. I don't have a pet rock. Like they go away, right? And um, so like with these meme coins, like I don't know, like I could take a picture of like a piece of lasagna and make a lasagna coin for no reason.
Oh,
Like
that's actually not a
it
bad
doesn't
idea.
even.
I could show you
I'd
how to
buy
launch
that
that
for
real
sure.
quick.
But like if I made a lasagna coin, it doesn't even do anything. It's just funny.
Right.
Like, and maybe for the next 6 months, people will laugh at a lasagna coin, but in 6 years, people won't even be talking about the
Yeah.
lasagna coin, but they'll be talking about a Bitcoin. They'll be
Yeah.
talking about Ethereum. And I think that's the way you need to look at these things. Some of these will be pets.com and some of them will be Amazon. You have to try to figure out which one is which I think that's pretty easy. Like if there's a picture of a lasagna or like a penguin or something on your coin, it doesn't even mean anything long term. But
Yeah.
if you have Chainlink or Solana and they're like the fastest cryptos out there, that's
Yeah.
meaningful. That's actually meaningful, not like a piece of lasagna or something. Like it's just you have
Yeah.
to. It's pretty obvious which ones you would hang on to long term.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean don't play it. It just means if you are going to play it, allocate a portion of your portfolio to it. And this is something I need to get better at as well, is like, have a game plan going in. Like, are you going to risk it all? Are you going to risk some of it and kind of put a stop loss in? But also, if you're expecting this thing to go up, where are you going to take profits? Because you can be up 400% on something in like 3 weeks. Like, there's a coin that I was following called Turbo, and this thing went up like 1,000%, right? In like a short period of time. Your emotions can get the best of you. You're like, to the moon, this thing's going to keep going. Like, you got to take along the way. Otherwise, and then roll those profits back into the Solanas and the chain links, and then repeat for the next coin.
Yeah, like I mean, they have like this one's called Smurf Cat. There's one they made about Tucker Carlson called Tucker Carlson. Like they're
Yeah, I got that
stupid,
one.
but they go up for a while, and so short term you can make money on them. Like Pepe, Pepe is one that people know about. That frog, it went up a lot.
Yep.
Mike Gillespie messages me like a week ago. You should buy this coin. It's called Brett coin. I'm like, what the hell is Brett coin? Like, I don't even know what that is. And like it's like a stupid cartoon that's called Brett, and now it's going up a lot. Like
Brett is
I don't
Pepe's
want to.
friend.
Oh, really? They're connected?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
part of this thing
Well,
called the Boys Club. So some guy did these drawings many, many years ago, and Pepe was the. I know, like it's just one of these things you got to shake your head at. You're like, we know all this stuff, we know fundamentals, we know technicals, and we're talking about these weird Smurfs and Toads, and it's crazy when you kind of hop into some of these communities, and like these are the things that are moving now. So
like they have one here, like it's called like a cat coin. Like they just like it's a picture of a cat holding a fish. Like I don't even know what that means. And at the
yeah,
same time, I don't know, they can go up in value short term, just like Beanie Babies went up like crazy
right,
in the late 90s. Even
yeah,
if you thought they were stupid, they went up and then they crashed later. So I don't know, some people might not like hearing this, but if you own a cat coin or a hippopotamus coin or something, you better assume it's going to zero in the next couple of years or something. Like, I'm not promising you it will, but you should probably think that way.
yeah,
If you own Bitcoin, you should assume it's not going to zero in the
right,
next 2 years. So
yeah,
make sure that you're not treating these things like a bar of gold. It's like it's a freaking fish. Like it's treat it as such.
right.
That's the
Yeah.
way I would
And
look at
and
it.
again, like know that these things can move a lot. Know your risk, allocate small amounts to it, and take your profits along the way. Right? Like this, I believe isn't going away. Like I think meme coins are a thing. And I think people play it because some people play it as kind of like lottery. Like the this is kind of how like the public gets into it. They hear, oh, I can make 1,000% in a short period of time. So they get into these things. Unfortunately, they're the ones holding the bag because they don't know when to get in and when to get out. So the meme coins are this cycle's NFT run. So last cycle, NFTs went crazy, and then the majority of them crashed. Some have survived. That's what's going to happen here, in my opinion, not financial advice.
Yeah, one other thing to mention too, like if you go on TikTok, if you go to our TikTok Real Wealth now, I'm starting to post some funny memes and stuff. And like we've had funny memes online for years now. And the reason is, I don't know, if you're having a rough day or you're at work or something, like you want to
Yeah,
laugh, right? You
yeah,
want to hear like this meme of The Rock making fun of Will Ferrell or Kevin Hart or something. And like, I don't know, you laugh and then you write something stupid on top, like and I think the meme coins are kind of one of those things where
yeah,
people want to make profits on stuff and then make fun of each other or make fun of themselves for making money on it,
yeah,
kind of like they want to show each other the TikTok gif.
yeah,
And I just, the one thing is, you don't want to look at the same TikTok gif. You're not going to laugh at the same one for the next 5 years. So you
yeah,
need new gifs all the time. Well, with meme coins, the same meme coin is not just going to keep pumping for 5 years straight. The next meme coin will pump. The
yeah,
next meme coin will pump. It's kind of like waiting for the next funny video. What's
yeah,
the next meme that will pump for a little while? And
yeah,
that's the way I would look at these.
yeah. So memes, to summarize, are fun. You laugh. There's community. Community is like super strong. So when you got a really good community, they're going to create their own memes, and it just kind of feeds itself. And then layer on that with the potential of profit, like it's a triple whammy. So it's not like I ignored it for a very long time, and I've been in it now for probably the last 3 months, really putting a lot more time. And like before, I'm like, I don't know how to get into this. Like this just went up 120%. Like it doesn't make sense for me to buy it now. My technical indicators tell me that you should sell now. Yet for the next week, it just goes up another 400%. So you can't use normal technicals on these things. So yeah, it's just a different way of doing things, and the proper thing to do is to allocate accordingly because you can lose it all. So that's uh that's some fun stuff around the meme stuff. So bring up I know you follow someone called Plan B a lot, and I've watched some of his videos as well, and a lot of his predictions have been pretty bang on over the years. So you mentioned to me the other day that there's something that has changed on one of his charts lately that lead us to believe that we're about to move up on the next wave. Where are we at with that?
Yeah. So Plan B, I believe he used to be a JP Morgan fund manager years ago. He won't
Yeah,
reveal who he is. You can only hear his voice, and he doesn't want to be scrutinized or judged or known. But if you follow Plan B past 2 or 3 cycles here, they've been making videos and making posts online. His accuracy is very good, and the stock to flow model will kind of tell you in advance approximately where Bitcoin's going. Won't give you the exact dollar amount, but he was predicting that it would go towards that 70, 80,000 last round in 2021, and it
yeah,
went to 68,000.
yeah.
So his computer models are very good. And the one thing I've been doing, if you follow my Invest Like Mike group, I've been very consistently, sharing about Plan B and its stock to flow model. I keep saying to people, watch this video, even personal friends of mine, even in my training course, I made people do homework of watching the Plan B video because this website, BitBo, actually has the Bitcoin stock to flow model. If you ever want to check it out, it's a free resource and you can see it. There it is. Okay. Now, if you look at this, you might say, what the heck is this? How do I even interpret this? Right.
Yeah.
Let me try to clarify that for you. Okay. So when you're looking at the stock to flow model, you're going to see a bunch of different colors on your screen. Okay. And the colors indicate which stage of the rally you're at. Okay. So when did we have Bitcoin halvings? 2020, right?
Yeah.
2016 and 2012. You'll see I circled them at the bottom of your screen. Look what happened after each of those red circles, right? It went up here, it went up here, and it went up here. Every time you have those Bitcoin halvings, what happens on the stock to flow model, if you look at those arrows I just drew, when it goes from the blue to the red and orange, see, I just circled over here in 2012 or 13. When you go from the blue to the next color, that's your banana zone rally. That's your crazy, like melting your face off rally. Okay, look at 2016 and 17. We went from blue to red, melt your face off rally. Well, look at 2020, went from blue to red, melt your face off rally. Look what we're doing right now, Mike. Right
And that's
now,
it's the Bitcoin price on the left, right? Is that the left thing?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. On the left, you'll see
Yeah.
the price on the left. Okay, so but like look at the like okay, in 2020 we went from 10,000 to 68,000 when we turned red on the dots here, okay, the stock to flow dots.
And that's
So
a short period of time.
it's a
Like Banana
very
Zone
short
was
period of
like
time.
maybe nine-ish, maybe a year-ish, where it just went
Exactly.
crazy.
So think
Yeah.
about this, okay? Like when they started printing money and lowering rates, we went from the blue dot to the red dot during the pandemic and it went up, okay? Because you
Yeah.
had inflation coming. Well, doesn't it make sense that we're going to the red dot right now when there's a bunch of billionaires pumping the price up and we're starting to lower interest rates? It kind of makes sense that a whole bunch of extra attention from rich people combined with lower interest rates will lead us to higher prices. So again, just look at the pattern on your screen. Whenever you go from the blue dot to the red dot, it's always right after the halving. And that always leads to the biggest move in the Bitcoin rally. I
Yeah.
think that's coming. And according to Plan B, you see this blue line, this turquoise green line over here, Mike.
Yeah.
That's what Plan B expects Bitcoin to go to. So see the blue line back over here.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin went right to his blue line. See the blue line over here? It went above his blue line a little bit. But regardless, it gives you a target to shoot for. The current target right here, this blue line, is $550,000, and we just produced the red dot that is the start of the crazy portion of the banana zone rally.
Yeah.
And
And
I
at the
look at
time of
all
this
this.
recording, Bitcoin is in and around 70,000.
I just see so many things lining up, and some people are tunnel visioned and they're just looking at the current news story in front of them. I'm very skilled at just zooming out and remembering statistics from 10 years ago and 10 months ago and 10 weeks ago
Yeah.
and putting them together and saying, where are we at right now?
Yeah.
Right now, we're about to go into the banana zone rally for Bitcoin. And even if some black swan event happens, that's
Yeah.
fine. The banana zone rally will just come in 6 or 12 months. It's
Right.
not going to go away. And I'm really, really bullish right now on cryptos.
Yeah. And we're already starting to see the early signs of interest rates being cut in some countries. Uh, there's a good chance some sort of money printing will happen again, which adds more liquidity to the market. So more money means more potential of people buying into things. And when that happens, then it goes up. And layer on with that, the one of the major catalysts, in my opinion, is the constant inflows to the Bitcoin ETFs. And now there's an Ethereum ETF, many Ethereum ETFs that got approved, which will probably become live maybe in the next month or a couple months. So that just gives even more options for the bigger money that haven't really played in crypto yet to start buying into this stuff. So when these big funds start to really give the stamp of approval, right now they're kind of just dabbling. But when this fund is making a good amount of money because they've allocated to these ETFs, these funds over here that haven't allocated yet don't look as great to their investors. So they're like, oh, we better do something similar. And then it just kind of steamrolls into more inflow. So lots lining up. So on that note, how about you pop into a couple charts here? So we've been talking about altcoins and various things. I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum, those are kind of like the top ones. And then there's Solana. I know you and I are pretty bullish on Solana, and we own a good amount of that. But then you layer down a little bit where there's a little bit more risk and also the potential for like a lot more rewards. So you have a couple charts you want to have a peek at?
Yeah, we could look at some charts here. We can maybe go over the Bitcoin chart and look at a couple altcoins here. Let me just share the screen.
Yeah.
Um, so, when we're looking at these charts here, this is the Bitcoin chart here, and you could see that I was monitoring that downtrend for everybody. And you'll remember that we helped you guys go towards cash when that stock market rally kind of rolled over and Bitcoin followed it. So if you were able to take advantage of having some cash here when it dropped, then you would have been able to have bought back in recent weeks. And me and Mike have been openly talking about how we're back into some cryptos in my Invest Like Mike group. You'll know I've been recommending buying in for a couple of weeks now. And I think we're in the next portion of the rally. So, when you're looking at this stuff here, sometimes you have a chart that gives you more of an obvious signal. Okay, so let's go to near one of my top picks. Okay, and when you go and you look at the chart sometimes, so you'll see that I have an upside down head and shoulders there. But let me just get rid of these here. In my training course, I told people recently, I said, if the chart's not showing you something obvious, leave it alone. If it's showing you something obvious, follow it. And I see a one, two, three, four. And if you watch the video me and Mike did from back in April and May, I guarantee you I showed this. We're going into wave five, and we've already started into wave five. And if you don't know what that means, that's something that we teach in the training course. But wave five will bring us probably to like $12 or something like that. And that might sound crazy to you, but it was just nine. So all I'm saying is it's going to go from 9 to 12 as the new high. It's
Yeah.
currently only $6.50. Imagine it goes to $12. You could double your money just this summer on it. And obviously if a black swan event happens, it'll ruin the chart pattern. But you can clearly see, Mike, that we're going into wave five of five right now for Nearcoin. So, the fact that Nearcoin is with AI is a good thing. The fact that people like it and the general public's pumping it up is a good thing. And the fact that we're going into wave 5 is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to keep your eyes on the prize there
And I want you
and be
to
aware of
have
that
a
stuff.
quick peek at, like, it went from two, cancel out of that real quick. It literally went from
Yeah,
$2. We're in February. So just like a couple months ago, it was 273, and it went up to 9, right? That's at least a triple of your money. So things can move fast. And when there's multiple indicators pointing to the potential that the banana zone is going to hit, that's not even the banana zone yet, right?
yeah.
And eventually this could potentially get to all-time highs again, and then like wave 5 just pushes it up. So yeah, there's the potential for things to really, really move.
Yeah, and the other thing I should point out too is that, like, me and Mike have been recommending Nearcoin and Render and all these things. They really rebounded nicely. Like Render was around 13 bucks. It's almost 10 bucks still. So, it went up from 6 and change to $10 after it dropped here. That's showing a lot of strength. Like you can really see that people feel that right now, Render is worth at least 9 or 10 bucks. You can see how stable it is. See, look over here. It bounced off of that 10 bucks. It bounced up above that 9 or 10 bucks. There's a lot of support around 9 or 10 bucks. So I think people are saying, you know what? We know it's worth at least 9 or 10 bucks. And whenever we get good news, we're going to go to 15 or 20. And I like looking at these charts because they're not just crashing. It's not just a stupid crypto. People believe in Render and Near because of the AI applications
Yeah.
and the big buzz around AI. And you could see on the chart, they're supporting the price and
Yeah.
they're ready to shoot it higher again.
Yeah. Yeah, and another catalyst, and we've mentioned this multiple times, is the post-halving rally. So it doesn't always rally right away, right after the halving. And I know you've shared this before of, usually like a little bit after is when it really, really starts to fly. So there just seems to have like multiple catalysts of like something's coming. And these last couple months, it's been kind of boring. So the way people liven that up is they go play memes, right? We want this constant stimulation in crypto, and oftentimes is not always the best to bounce around. It's just hold, just hold, just hold, and then things rip. So it really feels like we're close to ripping.
Yeah, it's one of those things with the halving cycles. I mean, I've talked about it a lot,
Yeah.
and not everyone likes studying this stuff, but I'm kind of a geek or a nerd for history and statistics, right? That's my strong point, and that's why I want to share it with you guys. So let's go share the screen here, and we'll just quickly go over the halvings here. So this chart shows you here the first halving, the second halving, the third halving, right?
Oh
And you
yeah.
see that there's cycles in
Holy
place here,
shit.
okay?
Plus
If I scroll down a little
8,800%.
bit, there you go. Now you can see the dates on the bottom there. So, you'll see that we have 4 year cycles and there's a halving every 4 years. And, um, we had, let's look over here. So we had May 11th, 2020, July 9th, 2016. Okay, let's go to the Bitcoin chart. So May 2020, July 2016. Okay, so I'm going to go and we're going to go back in history here. Okay, we're going to do a little back to the future here. So let's go to 2020. Okay. And you'll see that the Bitcoin halving was in May. Okay. So where is May? Right here. Okay. Did Bitcoin go up immediately after the halving? No. It actually kind of went sideways for a little while here. Then it jumped up. Then
Yeah.
it jumped up. And then it went into the banana zone.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of patience required there, but
Yeah.
you can see that it never went lower after the halving. And now when I zoom in, right, because that was zoomed out, if you actually zoom in, you actually will see that it did rally after the halving. So when was the halving? Right around here, right? Well, look
Yeah.
at that nice rally we got here in around July, August. Okay. It went up substantially. Like this went up from 8,000 to 12,000. That's like 50%. Okay.
That's about
And
2 or 3 months after the halving, though. kind of where we're sitting
Yeah,
right
so
now, right?
here's what I've been telling people, okay? In my training course and the videos, I said when the halving happens in May, there might be some, or April rather, there might be some lag for a month or two. But in the several months following the halving, there's going to be
Yeah,
a rally initiated, just like happened over here in
yeah,
2020, right?
yeah,
We had the halving in May, 2 months later, big rally. And I kind of feel like that's a pattern. And if we go back to 2016 quickly, I'll just show you July 2016. There's 2018, 2017, 2016. Okay. So we had a July halving in 2016. Okay. So here's the July halving. We dropped. Okay. See how we dropped to try and shake people out? But then what happened from about August onwards? Banana zone rally. So, you'll notice that both of the examples I just showed you, they kind of dropped initially, and then they went into the banana zone rally within
yeah,
a couple months of the halving.
yeah,
I think we're about to do the same thing right now. And if you don't study these type of statistics, if you don't study these type of things, you might not be aware of it. But when was the halving, Mike? April. What happened? We dropped just like 2016, just like
yeah,
2020. Now, 1 or 2 months later, I think we're going into that banana zone rally. And I
yeah.
just showed you the past two cycles did exactly what we're doing right now. And unless there's some big black swan event, I think we're going into that big banana zone rally anytime now.
Pack your bags.
Get ready.
Yeah, no, this is good. And if this is another thing I always forget to remind people, if you guys like this stuff, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We're sharing more content as well. So we're doing some videos. We're on TikTok. So we're on Twitter. We're going to be putting more of the links.
Yeah.
You can easily uh, find us on there. And again, like if you guys have any questions with anything, just toss them in the comments. We read them all. We do our best to respond to them. And we want to just try to be as helpful as we can. Like we really believe that there's some good, like some really, really good on the way. And again, like we're just two dudes here. We take in information from in and around here. Don't take what we say as guarantee. Take in multiple sources just like we do, and then formulate your own decision based on that. So, not financial advice here. Before we finish up, let's have a quick. I know we chatted a little bit about Nvidia. So they had earnings, maybe what 2-ish weeks ago. In those earnings, they announced that they were going to do a stock split. What impact does this have? Like, how does this play out? I know you're really big into history, and there's been Tesla stock splits, there's been Google stock splits. What happens at the announcement? What happens when it actually happens? And what happens usually after that? If you can just share real quick.
Yeah, so a stock split is a good thing typically. So if you have a stock that's really expensive, like years ago, Tesla was like $3,500. Who the heck wants to pay 3,500 bucks for a share of a stock? People like telling their friends, "Oh, I paid 50 bucks a share. I paid 20 bucks a share." Once it goes to 3,500, people get intimidated by that number.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of retirement funds and retirement money that people have money invested on their behalf by institutions. They don't even buy anything if it's over 100 bucks, basically. They want stuff that's under 100 bucks a share. And it's just a psychological visual thing. There's no difference between something that's $1,000 and something that was $1,000 and just had a stock split to make it appear like $100. It's the same thing, just a
yeah,
visual trick.
yeah,
So instead of having one stock at $1,000, they're going to give you 10 shares at $100. It's the same thing,
yeah,
right? And but what happens is people say, "Well, I already own Apple at 100 and something dollars. I'll buy some Nvidia at 100 and something dollars," but they never would have bought it at $2,000.
right.
And so typically, you're going to get a lot of extra attention from people saying, "Wow, it used to be 2,000, now it's 100. It's cheap." It's the same price, but
Right.
people think that way.
Yeah.
And we should expect Nvidia to keep going up for three reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, bull market. Number two, AI is the biggest thing in the world right now. And number three, you have Nvidia coming out with all kinds of new news constantly, including stock splits to bolster their stock. So you should expect it to keep going up. And at some point we'll have a dip, but good luck timing it. And when it dips, it might not even dip that much because who's selling their Michael Jordan rookie card? Nobody. They love Michael Jordan. If you like Nvidia, you're probably hanging on to your shares. And I think this is a buy. If something weird happens in the world, you can always go towards cash a little bit later. But I think if you're not in on Nvidia right now, even if it dips initially, you're going to miss out on some profits in the next month or so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. Anything else you want to share, man?
No, that's it. I mean, I would just tell people, we're putting a lot of time out. We love doing these videos for you, sharing stuff, doing research for you guys. Go to TikTok, go to YouTube, go to Twitter, type in Real Wealth Now, all one word, Real Wealth Now. Follow us, watch the videos, give them some likes there. Just go check out Real Wealth Now, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Okay, give us a follow. You support us, we'll support you, and we'll keep providing you with great content.
Yeah, and interact. It helps us as well, and share it with others if you've gotten value from it. When you interact with us, even if you just kind of like give us a hello emoji in the comments, like that stuff helps the algorithms. It helps our content get noticed. It helps us help more people. So that's what we're looking to do. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing, Mikey. It was another great one. Have a good one, everyone.
Take it easy, guys.
See you guys. Bye.